Hello, I'm Mav Savage. I'm a pagan and I'm a witch. I write about paganism and witchcraft. Look, I have books. And I've been really honoured to be asked to do another talk for the Pagan Federation Disabilities team for the online Beltane festival. So I hope you're all enjoying the online festival. I just think they're absolutely amazing. So thanks again for letting me be a part of it. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit because the theme of this festival is obviously relationships, and I thought it might be quite interesting to talk about being in a relationship with somebody who doesn't share your path and your beliefs, if you like. I actually don't really think of my own paganism as a belief because belief implies faith and faith implies doubt in my mind. And I don't really have faith or believe in the things that I talk about or I write about. I just simply accept that that's how they are. However, I'm also incredibly open at accepting that that's not how everybody experiences the world, which is probably why Jim, my partner, and I get on so well, because he doesn't have to share anything that I accept. He can do absolutely his own thing, and that's totally cool with me. Now, from his point of view, he has probably a lot more to put up with. He's a agnostic, I would say, at the most. I wouldn't say he's a full-on atheist. We do have talks about spiritual things, and we've certainly had psychic links in the past where, we've both picked up the phone at the same time and both woken up at the same point in the middle of the night. In fact, this was happening so often at one point that we started taking screenshots of our phone when we woke up and sending them to each other in the morning, and they would have like the same time to the minute on, things like that. Um, so, he does accept that there is more to this world than the mundane, but he doesn't put a label on it and he doesn't particularly have a practice. Whereas I have a more structured spirituality. I follow certainly the Celtic Wheel of the Year and the cross-quarter Sabbats as well, because, any excuse for a party. And I'm very much into connecting with nature. I do like going to pagan camps. There's quite a lot of stuff that I do like to involve myself in when I'm able to. Um, so how does that work on a day-to-day basis with somebody who just isn't really into that stuff? Um, I guess it's really come to a bit of a head for us recently because, and when I first planned this talk, this wasn't on the agenda, but on my birthday, which was just a few weeks ago, Jim actually proposed. So we have actually decided to tie the knot, and that might be quite literal because we are discussing the possibility of having a hand fasting. However, because we do walk such different spiritual paths in a way, we're now sort of at the point where it's like, well, the hand fastings that we've been to generally, that we have both enjoyed, and we've been there either as part of the circle or simply as invitees to the ceremony. They have had quite often quite a Wiccan influence, or certainly being based around spirits and deities. And one of the things Jim said to me was that he wasn't sure if he'd be comfortable with that, partly because it's not necessarily what he believes, but also because he didn't want to feel like he was an imposter in a tradition that he didn't really have full faith in or full belief in, which I really respect him for, to be honest, because he's not just making it about him, but he doesn't want to make other people feel uncomfortable by sort of going, oh yeah, let me have a pagan celebration even though I'm not a pagan. So what we're looking at the moment is, how do we make a celebration that's going to suit both of us? So I've suggested going for something quite ancestor based. So I know that my fiance has a great respect for his family and his grandparents and his ancestors, and also I've got a huge passion for my ancestry, not just my direct ancestry, but also the Celtic ancestry that sort of led me to the path that I'm on. So sort of studying Celtic mythology, studying Celtic spirituality. A lot of that comes from studying the ancients, studying ancestors. So I think this is going to be a really good compromise for us. I won't lose anything because that'll be really important to me if we had a celebration where we incorporated our ancestors into the magic of the day, and hopefully we'll be able to word it in such a way that he'll be able to get something from it, not just spiritually, but just to have a good day so that we can both enjoy it. So that just shows that even when you are on completely different paths, you can absolutely find a way through the complicated mire of crossed paths where you might not cross paths in other ways. Other things that poor Jim has to put up with is finding jars of disgusting things in the kitchen. And one question that I get asked over and over is, can I throw this away? Or, do you really want to keep this? And often it'll be like some herbs that I've picked up and stuck in a jar that might look a bit dried out and disgraceful by the time Jim gets round to picking them up. And sometimes it will be a case of, actually, yeah, I have left them a bit long, chuck them out. But 99% of the time it's like, no, don't throw it away. I need that for X, Y, Z. I think another thing that's probably a bit annoying for him is when we have expensive spirits in, and some of them don't get drunk by humans. In fact, some of them even get taken out into the garden and very occasionally dribbled on the soil because of offerings and ritual, which I don't do a huge amount of massively formal ritual, because I think I would say my path is, it's not only eclectic, but it's very personal to me, and the few bits and bats that I do with other people, they tend to be more around the major Sabbats and in between times, sort of at new moons and at full moons. They do tend to be very little, very personal rituals, but they do involve offerings, and I can almost hear him cringing when I'm, the single malt is getting poured for somebody that he's not going to experience drinking it. I know the person who it's going to is enjoying it. I'm 100% sure of that. But it is very hard to explain that to somebody who, has never had that experience. Other things that he has to put up with is the odd major ritual that we do have. Suddenly it's like, right, I've got to clean the living room table off and cover it in, for example, candles, flowers, bits of oat cake, butter, salt, water. But to be honest, he's great about that. And the last one that we had was a lovely little in-bulk ritual, just a few of us. And we started reasonably early. And I remember Jim was putting one of our little boys to bed. And he was actually gone for the entire duration, and when he came back down, he actually said he was sorry to have missed it. So that was really nice, because even though it doesn't mean as much to him in the same sense, like for me, in bulk is, it's the start of the first stirrings of spring. It's so important. It for me, from my spiritual perspective, from a Celtic perspective, to be able to share that with others is just so magical, and I love it so much. But I think for him, it was a case of he just had a real genuine interest in wanting to see, so what is it you do for this one? What's this one about? Can you tell me a bit about it? And it's a real contrast, I think, for me, because, we've been together for a few years now, but in the past, I have been with people who were pagans, and of course, You don't tend to have too many problems there, although of course your path isn't necessarily going to be exactly the same as another pagan person's path. But I have also been with other non-pagan people who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, possibly because of their own spiritual insecurity, decided that the best way to deal with my faith was to mock it. I've been accused of attending orgies. Yeah, I don't think so. Dancing around naked. I've been accused of taking time off from work to polish my goat skull. And I'm like, dude, it's a sheep skull and it doesn't need polishing. But, you know, I mean, there are some people who just will do anything to make you feel a little bit small and a little bit silly for having something spiritual that they don't understand. And I think that is absolutely the key, that some people's reaction to something that they don't understand is to belittle it straight away. I don't get that, so you must be wrong. And I have come across that attitude, and unfortunately I've come across that attitude in supposedly romantic relationships, and I've just had to put up with it. At the time, I mean, obviously I didn't put up with it forever, or I wouldn't be in the lovely positive place I'm in now. So you do learn, and you do realise that, hang on, there's something not right. If somebody you're with, somebody who says they care about you, somebody who says they love you and respect you, if somebody is saying those things, but then there's this big part of you, huge part of your life, that they are saying they simply can't accept, or even worse, are dismissive or derogatory about, then a large proportion of those things they've told you cannot be true. You can't say you've got respect for somebody and then totally dismiss a huge aspect of their life, something that is really important to them. And I think another key point is that you don't have to understand something to respect somebody else's regard for it. I know Jim, my fiance, he does not necessarily understand all the things I do. And to be honest, I'm quite naff at explaining it sometimes. A lot of the magic that I do is very instinctive, and sometimes, you know, when we're out and about, I'll just pick stuff up and shove it in my pocket, and he's like, what have you got that for? And I'm like, I don't know. And it might, so you know, it'll be a week later, I'll go, oh yeah, I know what I'm going to use that for now. It might be a shell or a stick or a feather or an acorn. But, you know, because I'm so useless at explaining the instinctive things I do, I can't possibly expect him to have a clear understanding of it. But he finds that interesting, and he asks me questions about it, and he wants to know more. And that, I think, is one of the key things to why we've got such a successful relationship, is that he just lets me get on with it. Like, if I need time to go and write, I've got time to go and write. If I need time to go and meditate, as long as the kids are asleep, I have got time to go and meditate. You know, and like I said at Imbolc, you know, it's like, right, okay, people are going to come round, we're going to do a bit of a ritual, we are going to be taking up the living room. Is that okay? And it's not an issue at all. I think the only thing he was concerned about was, would it be okay for him to be in the room, or would that be weird? Did we want it in private? But the fact is he asks those questions. He doesn't presume. He doesn't decide, well, this is how it's going to be. He doesn't exclude himself, which I think in the past I've experienced that, where people have just automatically excluded themselves. They've gone, oh, if you're doing that, you won't want me there, and not really given me a choice to say, well, how I feel about that. And I don't, at the time, it's not really been an issue. I'll just go, okay, then off you pop, bye. Whereas now I'm in a situation where he will say to me, would you rather I was there, or would you rather I left you to it? And if I'm doing something really private, especially meditating, or doing some sort of guided journeying or something like that, then yeah, I would rather be on my own, especially if I'm listening to something or have to concentrate on something, or if I'm meditating, for example, on a candle flame, or if I'm going to do a little bit of journeying work and then write about the experiences after, then yeah, I probably will want to be on my own. And it's okay for me to say that. It's okay for me to say, right, I'm going to need half an hour to an hour to myself tonight. And I don't even really have to say, is that okay? And I guess it's the same for him as well. It's, you know, if there's something he wants to do, if he wants to get online and chat to his eldest who lives a bit away, it's just like, they'll be like, oh, can I get some time doing this? And I'll be like, yeah, while you're doing that, I'll go off and do this. And then we get together afterwards and we'll talk about stuff. I might say, oh, yeah, that was really good. I did X, Y, Z. I got, you know, 1,500 words written and I'm working on some poetry. And he'll tell me about whatever conversations he's had. And it just gives us, it's just something else that we can share, even though we don't do it together. And then on the other side of the coin, there'll be stuff that I'm quite happy for him to come and join in with. Like, for example, he's been to quite a few group rituals with me, and we were even really honoured last year to be asked to call one of the quarters at a friend's renewal of their hand fasting vows. And I remember when she asked us if we would want to do that as a couple, and I was almost a bit nervous of asking him at first because it meant actually, you know, learning the words, standing at the quarter, calling the quarter, and what we decided was that we would stand together as a couple because they wanted a couple at each quarter and them as the couple in the centre, but that I would read the words and do the call, because that was something he wanted to be a part of it. He wanted to support his friends, but he wasn't sure about the ritual aspect of it. So that was, again, just a really good compromise. We were both there for them, but I did the reading and the calling, and we were soppy and held hands, and it was really nice. It was a lovely day, and it was truly magical that we could both be involved in something like that. Another one that stands out, where we were just we were guests, but we were part of the circle. All the guests formed part of the circle. Was a coming of age celebration, whereby a young man going from boyhood into manhood, and his parents and other family members gave him gifts, and there were quite a few really nice little really nice symbolic stages to the ritual. And I remember afterwards he was saying that was really good, that was really interesting, and I really got what they were saying about all the different aspects of growing into adulthood. And it's great because we just talk about it, and the stuff that he doesn't get he asks about, and the stuff that he doesn't agree with he tells me about, and you know, likewise, you know, it's, I'm able to say, you know, oh, you know, I've been writing about XYZ, for example. Like, I've been writing about the power of poetry and poetry within spell work, and so and so's disagreed with this aspect of da 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 da, and I can have a rant, and even if he doesn't know exactly what the spiritual ramifications are of it, he's always got empathy for whatever I'm going through, and I think that's it. We have empathy, we listen to each other, and we don't judge. So if he doesn't get what I'm doing, I don't judge him for that. I just try and explain the best I can, which, as I say, I am absolutely rubbish at sometimes. So I have massive empathy with him for that, because sometimes he'll ask me something and I'm like, blah, 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 and like half an hour later I'll get to a point that I could have got to in like 5 minutes. But again, you know, he does listen, he does take it in, and it just means that we've always got that there to be able to talk about. The only thing that I do feel sorry for him about is finding weird squidgy things in the kitchen. and I promise I'll try harder. I really will. Okay, guys. Well, listen, it's been really lovely talking to you again. I always enjoy doing the online festivals, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the other talks and videos as well. So, if you've got any comments on the aspects I've been talking about, or if you've got your own experiences, please, get involved, have a conversation. I might, as this is a pre-recorded video, I might not be able to join in immediately, but I'm going to get on online as much as I can today and try and join in the conversation as much as I can. So if you've got your own experiences of being with somebody who doesn't share your path, hopefully most of you will have positive ones. But as I said before, I appreciate there are always negative ones, and there are always those times, for some people, where you might have been with somebody who wasn't understanding and who didn't really get you in that sense. So please feel free to comment, share your own experiences. And like I say, if I don't get online straight away, talk amongst yourselves, but I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions if you want to leave them in the comments, okay? All right, enjoy the rest of the day. Merry Beltane. Sláinte.